I'm Ron Coffey, and I'm going to be here with you through till 10 o'clock, along with Sue, and I have James Holgate with me to do an interview. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Ron. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, mate. I was just about to identify you as one of my shearers. James, can you?
I don't share many things, mate.
and good to have you.
Thanks.
Now, you're one of the candidates for the local council elections.
I am the lead candidate for the Sustainable Australia Party Stop Overdevelopment / Corruption.
Yep.
And looking forward to a good election campaign. I'm looking forward to contributing to actually deliver what our main goal is, to protect the environment. And we need to do that in practical ways. And one of those ways we can do that is to help stop corruption. I got into politics a few years ago competing at the Eden-Monaro federal election. Basically, I've been a swinging voter, or had been a swinging voter, and I got less and less, shall we say, happy about who I got to choose, because they seem to be less and less interested in, or it was the least bad choice, let's put it that way. I thought, let's not just do a protest vote. I want to go in and actually have a chance to promote the interests, I think, of people who don't really get a voice, because the voices of the major parties are really a lot driven by who their donors are. And those donors are big developers, big business, real estate, commercial interests and those sorts of things. And the interests of the regular voter, they pay lip service, but they don't really, promote our interests. I think in the local context, that's really shown, certainly in Queanbeyan-Palerang, by the overdevelopment, by the increased congestion. And for me, a big thing is loss of habitat. So I think in some ways we go to meet the candidates and so on, and the people I'm trying to represent actually aren't even there. But, we are very lucky in this country. We can, participate in elections constructively. So I'm very excited about the opportunity to do that, and we've got a great suite of policies. So,
well, you're talking about the overpopulation or the development. That will not stop whatever they keep bringing people into this country at the rate they are.
Well, that's a good point. They've got to go somewhere. Yeah, that is a good point. Look, we are, in fact, despite some of the basic lies that you hear that suits other people's agendas, we are a pro-immigration party. We want to get immigration back to levels that were the what they call Howard era, which was about 70,000 a year. We're aiming for an overall population Australia of about 30 million, and we think that's sustainable. But we need to look at all aspects of the environment. That means looking at a circular economy and not this endless growth model. And we've seen what endless growth has done. It's pushed up housing prices, and all they talk about on the housing is the supply side of it, without talking about the demand side, what we call hyper-driven demand. And that, of course, suits major party donors.
But even the development part of it is not happening because you can't get material.
Indeed, and we've got inflation and so on. And what they don't do is put the infrastructure in place before they develop. This is happening everywhere. We can see it up say at Googong, where the high school's oversubscribed. They're saying, oh yes, we're going to be able to meet demand. Well, they're not. The projected size of the development. And look, Googong's great. It's a great little area there. It's got a nice feel about it. It's in a good spot.
That's
of course, it's near Queanbeyan. Of course, it's in a great spot. Again, the infrastructure's not there. A small example might be the EDE, the bypass there. It's been in the pipeline for many years. But to me, I ride my bike along there, and it's not properly, the bike lane is not properly maintained. You get punctures all the time. So, as I say, there's a lot of lip service, and for voters and residents here, we pay the price. We pay the price of others who get the commercial benefit, developing and making a lot of money and so on. But there's habitat loss. The koala in recent years has become endangered in Queensland, New South Wales and the ACT. But, for example, you drive from Royalla into Queanbeyan, you go through 5 sets of traffic lights now. It used to be 1. It's harder to get a park. There's congestion around the roundabouts coming in from Bungendore. Now, there's another big issue in Bungendore is the high school there. This is a reflection or a symptom of again, rapid growth. They're talking about bypass roads for Braidwood and so on. And again, that's another symptom of the rapid growth of that place, West Queanbeyan, otherwise known as Canberra, but that's growing very fast as well. And we are, in some ways, paying the price, a lot of congestion that overflows from there as well. And
a lot of people are employed out there that live in here too.
Absolutely. And,
so if you go down there to those roundabouts at Jerrabomba and that of a morning when the traffic's all heading for work, she's a bit of a gridlock.
Yeah, but look, just to get back, our main point is to protect the environment, Ron. And really, I don't see that happening in any meaningful or practical way without addressing, well, as you said, about the endless growth model, and that can be people and this things. But the motivation behind that is for commercial gain, which is what the major parties are driven by. Those interests. Again, the population, I've heard over and over again, this is part of my frustration, what people want is a real population policy, and we keep getting lip service, but, again, these interests that have the government's ear, academia as well, the student, large foreign student numbers. I heard a figure the other day. Of course, they were up in arms about limiting the number of foreign students here. Now, don't get me wrong, foreign students coming to this country is excellent for Australia because we get to have, I'd say, cultural influence on young, bright people who come to Australia and see what a great liberal democracy is. That is priceless. But the immigration system is geared to make that as a pathway to residency. Now, I can't blame anyone for wanting to come and live in Australia. I love it, but I want to protect Australia, and absolutely. I love it here. But I see that my interest and the interest of most of my friends and family are not served by these current policies and model. And I think we can make Queanbeyan-Palerang an example of what should be happening more widely. So I'm really, and we're not an ideologically driven party. We're a community movement. We're not left or right. We're science and evidence based. And for me, when I was working out where to send my preferences as an independent, I got in touch with the Sustainable Australia Party and thought, hang on, this is what I'm. Science and evidence based. I'm not trying to pick sides here. I just want the best outcomes, particularly for the environment and the long term future.
Yeah, very good. And of course, you're used to doing community work. You're president of the radio station, and
absolutely, Ron. But I like to think I'm humble enough. Just call me James. That's fine. Look, the community radio is really good, Ron. You've done a great job here. I love that we're given the opportunity to come here and just play music that we like. And what that does is you kind of, I don't like the word leverage, but you get the best out of our presenters because they come here and they bring their own knowledge and the music. I love the music you were playing this morning. It reminds me a lot of, really that Petula Clark and Charlie Pride and that sort of stuff I'd kind of forgotten about. I'm not saying, I do have a request for you later, but okay. I'll slip that in when I can.
We'll do that. Very good. And we better do those sponsors or we won't be here much longer. Righto, we'll go back to James now. Right, James, give us a bit more information on what you're doing.
Again, we're talking about sort of trying to protect the environment. I do urge everybody to go and look at our webpage, sustainableaustralia.org.au. It gives you a bit of background, sort of where we're coming from. But one thing, I know housing is a big issue. Rates is a big issue. I've been talking to people, again, cost of living. They talk about cost of living crisis. So we really need to, I think about just doing the things that we really need to do and not any more, because, and that in the local context certainly applies. But more broadly, I think we need to develop infrastructure, have infrastructure in place before we do the development. They seem to be doing it
back to front always.
The other way around, that's right. I mean, actually years ago in Canberra, I think, they used to put the roads and everything. I remember as a kid riding a skateboard around in Tuggeranong, to betray my age a bit there, but that was good. And then the houses came in, and it sort of went the other way around with newer developments. I get that, but I think, and have a look again at our policies, developers should be responsible for those costs. We end up carrying the can, and again, we've had new developments here, and I don't think they're really maintaining even those roads. They talk about cycle lanes. I love those. Beautiful, and that sort of infrastructure can also help people do things like cycle more and those sort of things to help, reduce the environmental impact. We can improve our local community, and the environment's not just, habitat. It's also building in our cultural heritage that we want to protect. So when we're carving up land for housing development, good arable land, habitat, and look, these things are people. What I don't like in modern political debate, seems to me, is we call it very polarised. It's you're one side and I'm the other. Now that's not where I'm coming from. I like good ideas. If it's a solution or a way to make things better, I'm all ears. And if I'm wrong, I'm glad to be shown to be wrong, because that means I've learnt and I've grown. So, as I said, a science and evidence-based approach. I will act in absolute good faith, and that's how I've come into this, and that's why I think the Sustainable Australia Party is a very good approach. It's kind of non-ideological.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, a way forward to get the best outcomes. And look at things. Again, don't just pick a side and say everything you say is wrong on climate change or energy policy or housing policy, and we're not going to make the best the enemy of good. Now, I'd like to not have to spend any money on defence, but we need a defence policy, don't we? So, as I said, a science and evidence-based approach, and we'll get good outcomes, and it does mean compromise. That's the necessary thing. But in some ways, if you're annoying everyone about the same, you've probably got the balance about right.
That's about it. Fair enough. Anyway, all the best for your upcoming. It's on the what day?
14th of September. There will be early polling.
The week before.
Yeah. Which again, that's I don't know if that's a good idea or not. My approach certainly is to vote on the day with any election, because you might find out something more. You'll be hopefully better informed. Yeah,
well, I'm the other way around. I like to get there and get it out of the road because I can't stand around for long.
Oh, fair enough. No, that's what, and that's the exact idea actually of early voting, is so that people who might not be able to get there on the day, it shouldn't necessarily be just because it's convenient. If you've got a good reason to vote early,
I can get there
please
on the
do.
day, but it's not really.
No, you don't understand.
Quite difficult.
I understand that. Now, Ron, I have got a request for you.
Yeah, mate.
And I'll give you a bit of time to line up, but as a kid this song resonated with me a lot. It's Joni Mitchell, Big Yellow Taxi, and I think that feeds into a lot of what we've been talking about. But thanks very much for the opportunity to come and talk to you, Ron. I appreciate that very much.
That's all right, very welcome. If you find time to get in before the days, come back and have another go.
Oh, thank you very much.